What is up, Texas hockey fans, and welcome back to Clean Sheet of Ice. Today's Clean Sheet of Ice looks a little bit different. Dom looks a little bit different. We have Savannah Huemoeller back on the show with us. She's going to be helping out with a little bit of socials. She's going to be doing some pregame stuff, doing her 5 main points of the game, and just kind of throwing out some pointers. She mentioned that Jason Robertson was 3 points away from his 400 point the other day. He got it last night, but she's going to be popping on the pod a little bit more. She's going to be helping out with social. So welcome, Savannah Huemoeller, to Clean Sheet of Ice, the Texas hockey world.
Thank you. Excited to be back. Excited to kind of hop on the team a little bit and help out. I feel like our stars here, they need more coverage, and I just love being able to tell some of the stories of this team. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of really good guys on this team to talk about, and you just hit it right on the head. Jason Robertson, he hit that 400 pretty good.
Not bad. Not a bad start to your career, huh? So yeah, Savannah, you usually do a little bit more traditional stuff than what me and Dom will do. Obviously, I'll do some tweets during the game for things that I notice that aren't going to be on TV, but more from a fan perspective. You'll probably bring a little bit more journalism and professional aspect to this podcast, which is something we sometimes need. We don't do the same thing as DLS and everybody else that does Stars content out here. So it's a little bit different. We got a good mix, and we're going to still have Dom on the show, and we're just going to be mixing it up a little bit. But this week was interesting. We had the green carpet. We had the home opener at a 9 p.m. game the other night on Tuesday. We didn't leave the arena until, midnight, basically, after press. But the home opener was a blast. The green carpet was a blast. And it got a little tight there at the end. But what you think about the Minnesota game and how they started, how they finished, all the things that went into green carpet, home opener, and all the fans being back in the building?
I loved going into that game against Minnesota earlier in that day. When we went to the morning skate, you could just tell that the energy was there. It was very light. The guys were super excited to be playing in that home opener. And, the American Airlines Center, just what they do with all of the fans is just incredible, and how they packed it out. The green carpet, for the last 6 seasons that I've been working with the Stars and just around this area, that was the most packed green carpet I've ever seen. Fans were out there hours before it even opened. And I think that's a true testament to what this hockey team has done over the past few years, being able to make it to the Western Conference finals consistently, and how the team has been built. And I think the fans are really starting to recognize what Texas hockey has. And I think the Stars did a great job of opening up that game against the Wild. I mean, you have Essa Lindell, out of all people, scoring the first goal. That was not on my radar whatsoever.
No, not at all.
It was crazy, but I think that they did a pretty decent job against the Wild. There were a couple little scary moments here and there, but Jake Ottinger, he started all 3 games, the first 3. And I think he did a pretty fantastic job against, the Wild in that game.
Yeah, that was an interesting game. Essa leading it off with the scoring in AAC for this season was definitely not on anyone's bingo card. No. I don't know if you noticed it in morning skate that morning on Tuesday that Essa had multiple just one-timer wide open net opportunities, and he muffed every single one of them at morning skate. And he had wide open passes that he could make to set up the scoring. I'm like, look, he's a defensive defenseman. He's not going to put that much thought or effort into a shot or anything like that in practice. And then obviously his first shot on goal just goes through 20 bodies, it seemed like, and goes into the net. It was a very funny way to open the scoring at AAC. But back to the green carpet. Who was your favorite outfit on the green carpet from the Stars?
I might have to just stick with Thomas Harley, just because I liked how he wore the Jake Ottinger Otter shirt. And I think, he's one of Jake's biggest advocates in that locker room. I mean, you could go up to Thomas Harley and he'll talk about Jake Ottinger all day long. And I do like that he's out there supporting his teammates. But I think when it comes to the really, really good, the professional outfits, I think Radek Faksa hit it right on the head. He brought his son out. They're wearing the matching suits. I thought that was just so cute. And the fans being able to welcome him back to Dallas on that green carpet, I think that was really fun too.
Yeah, Radek just seems so excited to be back in this locker room and on this team and wearing victory green again. It just, every time he walks in the locker room, he's excited to talk to the media, which no one seems excited to talk to the media. Like sometimes you'll go in and you just have conversations with people. Like I talked to Colin Blackwell about NBA and the Milwaukee Bucks for 10 minutes the other day. Just shooting the shit with that. But yeah, my favorite outfit was either Sagan or Otter. Just the set was they did good there. The other thing on Thomas Harley though, he was wearing Rupe's shoes. He didn't just have the Otter shirt on; he was wearing Rupe's shoes too. He went full teammate with a blazer on.
You know, we talked about this last time we did the show, and we really need access to those shoes. I think we need to really just tell Rope, you need to hook us up because this needs to happen.
I tried last season during the postseason. We were walking away from the scrums and the locker room and everything heading out, and Rupe was walking next to us. I was like, "Hey, Rupes, how do I get the shoes here in America?" And he goes, "I don't know." I was like, "All right, sick. Like, how do I get them?" He's like, "I don't know."
We need to call his agent. Like, we just need to get all the fun with his agent.
We need to find the marketing person for him and just make sure that we can get some. Like, I'll pay for the shoes. They're good. They're good looking shoes. I would appreciate a pair. But yeah, that was fun. The green carpet was fun. I had some drinks at Hero with some friends before the game, and before I heading to the press box, the drink was a mistake because I was sleepy by the time I got into the press box at 7:45, an hour before the game puck drop. But yeah, the Minnesota game overall, like, started off rough. Obviously, Minnesota was just peppering Jake Ottinger 8 shots in the first 3 minutes or so of the game, and we only had 1 or 2 shots on goal, and then they ended up getting the goal, and it was kind of off and running from there. You're up 3-0. You're feeling pretty good going into the third period, and then defensive mistakes, penalties happened, and then it got a little close there. Kaprizov stayed on the ice what seemed like the entire third period. I felt like Kaprizov was there at all moments in time. Matt Boldy looked great for Minnesota, and the shots just weren't coming for the Stars, and they just kept peppering Jake Ottinger, and they got to him a couple times on the power play, but then you get an empty netter there with Radek, and getting his first game back in AAC, he gets a goal, which was fun. It's an empty netter. And then Rupe get another empty netter, and it looked like he just didn't want to hit it in, but he waited as long as possible before hitting it in because there was only, 3-4 seconds left on the clock. It wasn't a lot of time. He was just trying to let the clock go, and then he got pressured, and he's like, all right, I kind of have to hit it. And then the Wild kind of retaliated a little bit. And it wasn't like whatever that famous clip is. I don't remember if it was like Toronto and Ottawa, but Ottawa just like slap shots one into the goal from the point, like kind of a fuck you goal. We didn't have that, but Minnesota didn't take liking to that empty netter, and I just thought that was kind of dumb. Like, the game was over, and what do you expect the guy to do? To not hit the empty netter? Like, let him take the puck and go on the rush for the last 10 seconds of the game? Thought it was dumb, but 5-2 win against the Minnesota Wild, you take that all day long.
No, exactly. And I think when it comes to the Wild, I think they're a very competitive team. Like, you look at what they're doing in their systems, like, they're out there to compete, and things are going to get a little hot sometimes, even if it is an empty netter towards the end. But Kaprizov, he was one of the 3 stars of that game. I think he was the 3rd star. And that's just a testament to what the Wild have done with him and getting him signed to the highest contract in the NHL. Like, he's such an insane player, and he's fun to watch. But yeah, he had a lot of looks. But I'm happy that the Stars were able to pull off that win. Came down to like that point when you are getting those empty net goals. There were a couple of mistakes here and there. Before that game, I actually had chatted with Sam Nestler from DLLS, and I asked him, because he had been at all the training camps and just everything. And I was like, what is your, summary consensus of like, what is different? What's the feeling that's different right now? And he's like, the Stars are able to score more right now, and they're able to actually play the puck more freely, as opposed to last year with Pete DeBoer, when they almost seemed like they were in a box and they were limited to doing so much when it comes to scoring. So I think that Wild game, I really saw that, because I was like, these guys are able to score the puck in more ways because they're just free playing the puck at this point, and they're just kind of in the zone and they know where to pass it. They're not limited to what they're doing on offense. And so I think with that Lindell goal, with what Wyatt Johnson was able to do, Matt Duchene, we have to talk about him for a second too. I think they were playing it a lot more freely, and I think that was the fun part of watching that against the Wild.
Yeah, I've been talking to Sam about this as well since preseason and into the regular season. It looks like they're just allowed to be hockey players and make hockey plays, whereas last year they had a rigid system that they were not allowed to deviate from. And obviously that worked. They won the most games in the last 3 years in the regular season under Pete DeBoer, and like it worked in the regular season. Then come playoff time, they would either get beat up and tired, and they get to the Western Conference Finals, and it was over. But this one, it seems like it's a little bit different. They're hitting people. They're playing more physical. They're finishing checks. Everyone is. Like even Matt Duchene's out there throwing a check, and you don't see that until the playoffs with Matt Duchene. Like he's going out there, and it's not a lot, but once or twice a game, you'll see Dutchie go out there and throw a hit. Like Wyatt and Robo are out there throwing hits, and obviously you get to see Liam Bichel throw hits as many times as possible. But yeah, back to Duchene. So he takes that big hit from Middleton, and scary hit. And because I thought Dutchie was going to do the little stop and go 360 at that point. I thought he saw the defender. He didn't see the defender until the last second. He leans up, gets leveled in the head, big knockout. I mean, he didn't get knocked out, but it was a big hit. And Petro stands up for him, gets in the fight, obviously loses the fight. But at least he stood up for the teammates. We were 3 games in. We had 3 fights, which we didn't. I don't know if we had more than 3 fights last season in 82 games. So that was interesting. Like I'm glad that we're standing up for the team. But Dutchie goes off the ice under his own power, doesn't need a trainer to come help him get off the ice, but he goes right down the tunnel. We don't see him the rest of the game. Then we didn't see him at practice 2 days ago, and then saw him at morning skate yesterday. He skated. He did 1 round of the power play unit and then was done on the power play, and that kind of told us that, yeah, he's probably not playing, and it was more of a precaution than anything. I would expect that he's back in the lineup tomorrow, and if it's not tomorrow, then he'll be back in the lineup next Tuesday. So scary hit, but glad that Dutchie's okay and was able to get back on the ice 2 days later and hopefully get to have him back.
Yeah, exactly. I think they just needed to get him evaluated, make sure he was good, not the greatest hit that we've seen. So I'm happy that he's okay. He's day to day. And like you said, I think that he'll be back either this next game or next week when we're back at home here at the AAC. So that's pretty much it with injuries. But I mean, we are just a couple weeks away from potentially having, we'll see Jamie Benn back, and then Oscar Back should be back in the lineup here soon as well.
Yeah, what Goalie said on Tuesday was that Back is probably still a few days, maybe a week away. So should see him next week, hopefully see him next week. And then Jamie's been at the morning skates and the practices and stuff, just poking his head in on the bench and hanging out in shorts and t-shirt, and we're all freezing and wearing long sleeves and pants and still cold, and he's just sitting there right next to the ice in shorts and a t-shirt. So good for Jamie being used to the cold, but he's back. He's still hanging around the guys and everything, which is good to see. They need their captain. Obviously we saw last year when their captain left for paternity leave and didn't come back for a few games, they went on a 7-game skid. He means a lot to this locker room. Whether he's going to bring a lot of production on the ice is to be seen this year, but still scored 49 points last year, and they need their captain back. So it'd be good to have him back in a few weeks, hopefully by the end of the month or maybe the beginning of November. We'll see how his recovery goes because he can't fly for the 4 weeks since he had the surgery. So that's kind of the big things there injury-wise. But last night, Vancouver.
Let's do it. Let's get into it.
Yeah, so Ben at Stars Countdown, love him to death. He sat in the same section as he did against Vancouver last season during the collapse, and he tweeted it out before the game. And I was like, buddy, you can't be saying this. You can't get the same section for this game. You just can't do it. It kind of happened again. Not as bad. It wasn't as heart-wrenching as it was last year, but they started off well. They had 2 goals. They had a power play goal. Mikko Rantanen had a goal. We're like, all right, playing pretty good that first period. Like, feeling pretty confident about it. The defense was a little shaky, but it seemed a little bit more secure in the first period. And I was like, all right, like this looks like what goalie wants. And then the next 2 periods, it fell apart completely. And Vancouver scored 4 goals in the second period. They got an empty netter in the third. They end up losing 5-3. Wyatt Johnston gets another goal, on pace for 82 goals, by the way. Seems like a lot of goals, by the way. So, yeah, tough game last night. The defense got burned a few times, and that's not something you want to see.
No, but I don't want anybody that is out there that is a Stars fan to quite yet panic. We are very, very early on in a very long season. And I did have a point last night where obviously the Stars were up 2-0, and then you get the 3 goals within 10 minutes from Vancouver. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm having a flashback from last season's game against Vancouver when they scored in the very last minute. Yeah. However, this one was in a 10-minute time span. But I don't know what it is about Vancouver. You could see that their speed really started to pick up in that second period. They must have had a really good first intermission chat. but their speed really started to pick up. Quinn Hughes, he looked fantastic out there. He was the guy to stop. He had a lot of shots on goal. But yeah, our defensemen, I just think that's one systematic thing right now that they're still trying to adjust and figure out. I don't see, some of the changes as far as Glenn Gullettson's systems. I haven't seen like a big, peak for our defensemen yet, or something that I've noticed where you're like, oh, that's different. They're doing this better. I haven't really seen a lot of that yet when it comes to the defenseman group. And then you can't really put a lot of last night on Casey DeSmith. However, it was a big pressure test for him, because there's going to be moments this upcoming season where he's really going to have to get in there for Jake Ottinger, because Glenn Gulletson said it himself a few weeks ago, like this season for Jake Ottinger is going to be about managing energy. So you have to rely on Casey DeSmith a lot. And then your defensemen really need to step up in those big moments. So things obviously dropped off last night. Flatline was the word Glenn Gulletson used in the press conference a few times. You don't want your team flatlining past a certain point and just letting the game slip away.
Yeah, and those two long flip passes that got past Thomas Harley basically is kind of the difference in this game. And Harley mentioned it in his post-game presser, is like, hey, that's on me. That one's on me. Could have done this differently. That one's on me. Like, he took credit for 3 of those goals. And that's something you want to see out of your players, just taking accountability for plays that they messed up, or even if they didn't mess up and they're still taking accountability for it. Like, it's a good locker room, and they're going to own up to their mistakes when they did it. And they're going to say, they're going to give credit to their teammates when they did something good. So it's something you want to see out of the locker room. And it's obviously not something you want to see on the ice, but he took ownership for those 2 goals. And it's basically 2 just mini breakaways against Casey DeSmith. And skaters are so good, forwards are so good, that a lot of the time they're going to just score those. And Tyler Seguin had a mini breakaway, but he had to shoot it from like beyond the faceoff dot on the left side later in the game. And it just wasn't a high danger quality shot like the Canucks got. But Quinn Hughes was nuts last night. His edges and the ways that he was just able to get free and hold the puck on his stick. Like, he had a few moments where Miro or whoever got on him and poked the puck away. But other than that, like, Quinn Hughes was incredible last night. And it was an interesting game. Like, you don't want to see those few mistakes on those long breakaways or anything like that. And the giveaway towards the end with Blackwell on the wall, getting covered by 2 guys, he kind of just threw it towards the middle of the ice. It seemed a lot like that one of the Colorado games, I think, that we had in the playoffs, where Blackwell threw it back towards, or maybe it was Oscar Beck. He threw it back towards the middle of the ice. He made the right play, and then there was just a streaking Colorado player right there in the middle of the ice to grab the puck. So it's kind of like that. It's a tough game. I don't think the defensive positioning was rough last night. I thought it was decent in the defensive zone for the most part, but on those longer breakaway types of plays, that's when it kind of stood out that the Harley Lundqvist offensive defensive pairing kind of showed its teeth right there. It's like they were both kind of up a little bit too far, because trying to be in the play on offense, and then the puck got out and they weren't able to get back fast enough. So you don't need to panic, Stars fans. Like, I keep saying 20 games. Give it 20 games for the defense to kind of figure it out and get in the new system. And everyone has to figure out the defensive system, not just the defensemen, but the forwards have to be in the right positions. Like, we've already seen Rupe get out of position and try to go back to that man-to-man thing, and then turn around and like, oh no, I need to be back there actually. And then by then it was too late. So 20 games, that's my benchmark, is like, give them 20 games. If they can kind of survive that and still stack up points in October and November before then, and they're going to be all right. I don't think it's going to be a huge issue towards the end of the season. I think they're just going to settle in and know what they're doing and know where their positioning is and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not too worried about that game last night. But the other thing that we saw was Mikko Rantanen on the power play. That was fun, because we've seen that play 2,700 times in practice. They've put a huge emphasis on the power play this year in practice and morning skates and everything. Like, they're doing power play every single day. Whereas last year during the playoffs, they didn't practice the power play hardly at all. And I thought that was concerning, that they just weren't practicing it. That's basically all they're practicing, is entries in power play right now, which is cool, because that's the thing that they struggled with last year. That Mikko Rantanen one, though, the pass to Rupe, Robo, back over to Mikko, and then Mikko just snipes it from the right side. Like, I've seen it 100 times already in practice this season, and it's only been 4 weeks since I've been going to practice. Like, they keep doing it, and it just keeps working. He scores like every time on that one. It's awesome.
I tweeted last night Mikko Rantanen power play goal, and somebody commented, and they were like, "You need to just keep this tweet and repost it every time because we're going to see this over and over and over again all season long." And I was like, you know what? That's pretty accurate, because Mikko Rantanen, he's going to get out there on the power play. That was just like a dart into the net. Like, he is just in the right position. He knows exactly where he needs to be. And that power play, whatever they're working on practice, it is definitely working for Mikko Rantanen himself.
Yeah.
So excited to see them like keep doing that and developing that. Like, he's obviously on the ice majority of the time during the power plays. So, you know, he's going to be their guy when it comes to that. But I liked what he did. That was actually his 10th consecutive game against the Canucks where he's had a point, I believe. Let me actually pull this up.
I think he has 33 points in 22 games against the Canucks in his career, which is
that's really good. He has a 10 game point streak against the Canucks right now.
Pretty good.
So I'm like, it's pretty decent. So he's the guy on the power play. He's the guy against the Canucks. I like that.
And he had a few plays where they were able to finally get the puck over to him on a one-timer shot, which last season I was like, I'm really excited about that. And we saw it like 4 times maybe in the totality of his time last year with the Stars. We've already seen it. Like, we saw it twice last night. He had 2 one-timers from his spot on the right face-off circle. And I've just been really excited to see that and see what happens with Mikko with the one-timer. Like, I just want them to get the puck over there and get him in the right position. And sometimes he's retrieving the puck and then moving over to the left side, so it takes him out of that position. But yeah, Mikko was really good. He had a bunch of really good feeds into the slot right in front of the goal, like in between the legs, behind the back passes. Like, he had a few right there in the third period when they really started pressuring the last 6 minutes or so. He had 2 back-to-back on the same possession. I was like, how do we not score there? That was incredible. But he's making a lot of plays on the ice. As fans can stay out of my mentions. They keep showing up, and I've told them I'm not interacting with them until May or March whenever we play them against. Like, I'm not doing it anymore, Avs fans. So if you come in my mentions, don't expect a response from me. It's over until March. I'll get back in there in March and fight the good battle, but I'm good till then. Like, we don't play y'all. It's not a concern for mine.
We have a long time. The Avs fans need to worry about their team for the next few months. So I could not agree more with you there.
They're a good hockey team. We're a good hockey team. Everyone just settle down. We have Mikko Rantanen. You can have fun with Marty Necas. 0 shots on goal yesterday. I put an underdog play in yesterday with Marty Necas higher than shots on goal. 0 shots. 0. Yeah, not great. Use promo code CSOI on that one. Clean sheet of ice.
I thought he was going to have a really good breakout season with the Avs, and I just think he's off to a slow start. That's for sure.
Yeah, and he looked good against the Stars, and they said he outplayed Mikko, and I was just like, we didn't have a good game and we won. So I don't. Do you want your guy to have a better game than our guy and lose, or do you want to win the game? That's where I'm at with them. But yeah, Vancouver game was not super fun. They're not going to go 82-0. They never were going to go 82-0. This league's too good. Glenn was mentioning that on Wednesday, I believe, during practice, or Tuesday. I can't remember, but he was saying that, like, look, this league has so much parity across the league. There's 32 teams. Everyone is really good. They're all going to be good. Like, they're all going to be hard-fought games. So to win 3 games in a row against 3 division opponents was a huge deal for them. And even though they weren't playing very well or up to his standard or whatever it is, like, they won 3 games in a row against division opponents. That was a big deal. And then they looked a little bit flat after the first period, and it is what it is. You know, you're not going to win them all. So 3-1, but we're heading to St. Louis on Saturday, back on the road for a game, and then back home next week. So what do we think we're going to see in St. Louis? A little bit earlier start. They're back on the road. They're playing every other day for like what seems like a month and a half straight. So that's going to be interesting. But what do we think we're going to see in St. Louis?
You know, I think the road trips, I like the road trips for the guys because they just get brought into a different environment. They're able to test things a little bit differently. The Blues are kind of a sneaky good team, I have to say. They do have some guys on there. Their goaltending is very premier. Jordan Binnington, insane. So I think that's going to be the biggest block. You have to be able to score. And I hope that they could just hold the lead this time. You're working on your defensemen, you're working on your forwards, following how to defend at the same time as well. So I think if you're playing a physical game against St. Louis and you're really holding off some of those guys, Jordan Kyrou, I think you're going to have a better game. I would assume that they're probably going to start Jake Ottinger for this game. It is a division game, so I would see Jake Ottinger starting in net, but I think you just really got to score some goals here, play the puck freely, and you may have a good win in St. Louis. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Monty's a great coach. We had him here for a little bit. Then he's one of the best coaches in the league in Boston. Then got fired for kind of no reason because that team just kind of stunk. And then he ends up in St. Louis. They make the playoffs last year. They play really hard. They hit really hard. They play good defense, and they have a great goaltender. So that's always an issue against the Blues, is that it's a 2-1 game every single time. Like last year, that game that went to overtime where Dutchy flew through the ice on overtime and got the overtime winner. I believe it was 2-1. Like, it just seems like every game against the Blues will be 2-1 either way. We've been kind of beating them pretty good over the last couple of years because the Blues have been a little bit worse. But even then, it's still like 2-1 every time. Like, it's a defensive battle. Who can score the second goal first, and that's kind of who wins. That's what I'm looking for. Can Otter, or if it's Casey back in there on Saturday, then can they kind of stand on their head for a game, and can the defensive positioning be a little bit better than it was against Vancouver and against Colorado? Well, TBD. Can he stay out of the box? TBD. Like, they keep getting in the box and at bad points and keeps biting them in the ass. So that's kind of what I'm looking for, is just like cleaning up a little bit of mistakes and having a goaltender have a really, really, really good game, because we haven't seen one of those yet. Otter had a really good game against Minnesota, and they just kind of peppered him with power plays over and over and over again in the third period. So I'm not going to discredit him for that, but we've had one good game out of 4 out of your goalies. Can we have a really good game out of your goaltender, and then can the defense kind of shore up some of the mistakes, and can the offense capitalize on theirs like they did against Winnipeg and like they did against the Wild? So that's kind of what I'm looking for. I'm going to take 2-1 Stars because it's a 2-1 game every time. And if it's not 2-1, I'll be surprised.
You know what? I'll go 3-1 just to see if we can get up there at the very end, maybe a little empty netter. But you are right. It is pretty close. These teams are very physical against each other, and we got to stay out of the box, because so far the PK for the Stars has not totally caught my attention. I think that's something that they're still kind of developing, making sure that they can, get in the PK at a proper level. Because last year our penalty kill, I thought, was absolutely premier. And I think that they're still trying to figure it out under the new system a little bit. So staying out of the box, I think, is going to be big against St. Louis. But, it's always bound to happen there. So we'll see. Yeah,
the PK, I feel like, has been really good this year, because I pay attention a lot during the PK just to see if it's similar to last year. It is. It's very similar. You have a lot of the similar guys out there. And you've kind of added Radek Fox in there, who's been a great PK guy for the Stars for a couple of seasons. And then he left and came back. So I thought the PK has been really good. It's just that last 30 seconds of the power play almost every single time, it feels like. It's those last 30 seconds that kind of kills them. They end up scoring. Like the 4-minute penalty against Lyubushkin against Colorado, they killed off 3 minutes of it. Then Nathan McKinnon's wide open and gets it, just his shot. So can't be too mad about that. But I think it's been good. It just hasn't been great yet. And the reason it hasn't been great is because they can't kill off the last 30 seconds. So if we can just start killing off the last 30 seconds and keep doing the Esa Lindell and Radek Foxa show, then that'd be great. But if you stay out of the box, that's even better, because then you're not worried about it. I think the power play has been good, not great. Same thing, kind of entries and getting into the zone. I'm still going to scream for Thomas Harley on being in QB1 on the top power play unit, but keeps not happening. Miro keeps going out there, and Miro's a great player. I'm not discrediting that, but I think Harley just brings something different to a power play than what Miro will. And Miro did start to shoot last night towards the end of the game when he was in there on the power play. And yeah, they were trying things. But yeah, I think the PK is all right. I think they just need to kind of find their footing for the last 30 seconds. They can kind of survive and hold water the first minute where they're peppering shots. And then after that, they kind of do the change, or they get tired, whatever it is. And it gets a little tough. Like yesterday, I feel like they spent the first minute and a half in the zone, on the offensive zone. On one of the PKs, and I was just like, good Lord, can we get one cleared puck? Those guys were out there for 2+ minutes at that point, and you could just tell that they were tired. Miro was out there for almost 3 minutes, I think, at one point on one of the PKs, and you could just tell he's like, I'm not chasing after a puck. I'm holding my position, and that's it. That's all you're getting out of me, because he's just dead tired. So get some cleared pucks, and it'll all even out in the end. I think that the penalty kill is going to be just fine. So not too worried about it. But yeah, did you see our prediction for the Minnesota game, me and Dom?
No, what'd you guys say?
Well, I said 3-1, and it was 3-1 there for a minute. In the third period, I was like, I'm feeling pretty good.
You're
about
like,
this.
I have it.
I'm feeling pretty good about this. Dom said 5-2. He's like, I think the offense is going to do really well. And he got it with the empty netters. He got it. So
all right, Dom.
Yeah. So
Let's
I think we'll be able to maybe mitigate that one again. So you're going 3-1. I'm going 2-1 against the Blues. We'll be back on Monday to talk about that game. We're going to record on Sunday, put it out Monday morning, talk about the Tuesday game and all that kind of stuff. But Savannah, you're going to be joining Clean Sheet of Ice every once in a while, maybe once a week, something like that. And we'll keep talking about Stars hockey and everything that we learned in the locker room. Did you hear anything in the locker room that maybe we haven't said or anything that stood out to you yet this week?
Not entirely. This week I really spent more time the last couple weeks just chatting with some of the players individually. I did a sit-down interview with Nathan Bastian and Wyatt Johnston. So I enjoyed those conversations and just kind of getting to know Nate a little bit more now that he's new to this team. I liked that conversation because the consensus that I got out of it was he knows what he is here for, and it's being the player that he is, the physicality that he brings to this game, and how he can be a consistent, probably fourth line, maybe switch up to the third line from time to time type of guy. And we had some really good conversations, and he's really excited to be here playing on this team. So I really enjoyed that. Wyatt, we all chat with him from time to time, and he gave the general answers as far as where he's at in his career, but he's entering his fourth season in the league. And last year he had a career high in goals and assists with 71 points in the regular season. And I think this year, now that he has Glenn Gulletson, he said that he's going to start to see things differently. And I liked that out of him. Like, he seems very open to trying new things and learning new things. And we're already seeing it happen right before our eyes. 4 goals, in 4 games. So, I think Wyatt Johnston is maybe going to have a career year once again. We'll see. But that's all I've been kind of working on. Next week, we'll get back into the locker room once they return home, and we'll see what unfolds.
Yeah, and I just want to say that I was right on Dutchy's pants. So Dutchy told me last week before the home opener, before they went to Winnipeg, I was wearing some camo pants in the locker room. He's like, "Hey, what are those? Where are those pants?" I was like, Abercrombie. He's like, "Dude, I just ordered some. Like, I think I'm gonna wear them opening night, like for the green carpet."
Stop! He ordered some Abercrombie. That's awesome.
He had already ordered them before I wore them in the locker room, and then he got excited. But mine have a hammer loop on the side, and he's really pissed off he doesn't have the hammer loop on his. He's sad about that. So, but he did wear the camo pants, so I had some little insider trading there for Dutchy's first outfit on the green carpet. But
he's such a country boy. Like, he's such a country boy.
He's from like Toronto. It's like all the people I grew up with in Alabama. We grew up in a town of like rocket scientists and lawyers and doctors and stuff, like not country Alabama, just the most sophisticated version of Alabama you can get. There's still a little bit of country in there, but all the guys in high school that just wore boots and big boot cut jeans and stuff to school, I was like, what are we doing here, bro? Like, there's no farmland around here. Like, what are we doing? That's what Dutchy is to me. And just like, I don't understand why, but I love it. I love it dearly.
I think he just maybe has a lifelong dream after playing hockey. Once he gets done, like, maybe he's just going to be like a rancher. Like, I have to bring this up to him.
He might be. Yeah, or he just goes to Nashville and just a country music star after this.
It's one of the two. Maybe he'll have a ranch in
Maybe
Nashville.
It's both. Yeah. Maybe it's like Chris Stapleton. He lives on some land outside of Nashville, but goes to Broadway all the time to record. Yeah. Maybe that's what we're looking at. Just the new version of Chris Stapleton. Maybe not as good and talented that way, but he plays good hockey. So,
we'll get that story in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We'll come back. We'll circle back.
Yeah. We'll get that from Dutchy. But that's a Clean Sheet of Ice, Texas Hockey Podcast. Shout out to Zing Zang, America's #1 Bloody Mary mix. We love Zing Zang over here. Sang responsibly all season long with the Blazing Bloody Mary mix, the Michelada mix, the Margarita mix, all the things of Zing Zang, America's #1 Bloody Mary mix. We'll be back on Monday with a new episode of Clean Sheet of Ice. I'll have Dom on the podcast for that one. And Stars are going on the road for a game, then they're back home. So it's going to be a busy month. It's going to be a busy 2 months, I think. It's going to be a busy season, really, with until February when we have, 3 weeks off, basically, for the Olympics. So it's going to be a lot. Savannah, any last words?
Nope. We're going to see what the Stars do against St. Louis, and we're now in the mix of this. It is grind season, and we're going to get to that 20-game mark, as you mentioned, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, it's going to be just fine, Stars fans. Don't worry about that game last night. Back on the road against St. Louis, another division opponent. 4 division opponents in the first 5 games. That's tough. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, but we'll be back on Monday with a new episode of Clean Sheet Advice, Texas Hockey Podcast. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already on audio platforms or on Apollo HOU at YouTube. We love you guys. We'll be back soon with another episode of Clean Sheet Advice, Texas Hockey Podcast.